Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our City Council meeting. At this time, do we have a pastor here for? You don't? Okay, so we're going to go on to, I'd like to call this meeting to order of the February 21st, 2018 meeting. And Chief, would you lead us in the flag salute?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Faria. Here. Johnson Santos. Here. Lewis. Here. Silvera. Present. Villalta.
We do have a quorum. Let's go on to item 4, consideration of approval of agenda. Do I have a motion? Silvera.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Mr. Lewis? Okay. All right. Would you say it again, please? The mic was on.
Second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Silvera and second by Lewis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Let's go on to item 5, presentations. Proclamation recognizing Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. Do we have anyone here to accept that? Reina Nino is actually on her way. I'm with her. Okay, so why don't we have you come up now because we have that on the agenda, all right? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, my name is Juan Nicochao. Oh, sorry.
Just hang on just a minute. Oh, is the microphone? Oh, here we go. Thank you. Come on over here.
This is my first time.
You get the special mic.
Awesome, thank you.
All right.
Good evening, so my name is Juan Nicochao. I'm with Valley Crisis Center. I work at for MCOE at Valley Community School. And what we do there with Teen Dating Violence and Awareness Prevention Month is, it just passed, but what we do there is we bring awareness to teen dating violence. We do that by advocating. We did a big presentation. Had all the students involved. We do a big art project where the students get to engage in different type of dialogue with what that looks like. We also, oh, here's Reina right here. Put me in the hot seat there, Reina. Keep going? Okay. So, yeah, so with Teen Dating Violence Awareness, what we do is, like I said, we advocate and we give the kids information on that subject there.
Yeah, so this month we were really focused on healthy relationships. This month we were really focusing on informing the kids how to maintain healthy relationships and prevent, teen abuse, as well as Juan's been doing such a great job with the Valley schools, really being there for the kids and showing them different ways how to deal with their emotions. So this has been a good month. Did you tell them about the contest?
Yeah, well, so we did a contest where, Respect Week, and it was just actually last week, where all the students, whoever wore orange, was put into a raffle, and we did these big signs that said respect with a heart on them, and for any kid that wore orange, and we had a significant amount of kids that wore orange, were entered into the raffle, and we were designing a T-shirt to complement the poster, so they get a poster and the actual T-shirt, and it raises awareness. And why it's so important, and I'm a little less nervous now, but why it's so important is because when you talk about teen dating violence awareness, you don't see what's behind the purpose and the issues that these students are having. So through speaking about teen dating violence awareness, we've been able to capture suicidal ideation, domestic violence abuse, things that are happening in the home. So it just opens the door for wide spectrum of conversation, and really it goes back to wellness and looking inward for the students of what they can do differently, and it is not okay to be in these type of relationships.
Well, thank you. And at this time, I'd like to read this proclamation. Proclamation recognizing Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. Whereas California is committed to the well-being and protection of the youth, the safety of our communities, and the fostering of socially based respect for one another. And where violence has no role, teen dating violence and its various forms of control and abuse is a serious crime that can continue into adulthood with the potential to destroy lives. And teen dating violence involves physical, sexual, verbal, emotional, economic, and other abusive behaviors, including harassment and cyberbullying via texting, sexting, instant messaging, or posting on social media, and is committed by a person intending to harm, threaten, intimidate, harass, control, isolate, and monitor another person with whom they have or have had a dating relationship. During early teen dating experiences, new and complete emotions can result in a victim misinterpreting certain behaviors displayed by the dating partner, such as abusiveness and impulsive actions and affections. Dating violence can have a negative effect on the health throughout the life, as teens who are the victims and more likely to be depressed, having eating disorders, do poorly in school, engage in unhealthy behaviors such as drug and alcohol abuse, and think about or attempt suicide. Sadly, for a number of today's teenagers, dating violence is a reality, and many parents and guardians are unaware of their teenage son, daughter, or child within their care might be a victim. National studies on this issue indicate that approximately 1 in 3 adolescent girls experience some form of interpersonal violence during 1 in 10 teens report they are intentionally hit, slapped, or physically hurt by their boyfriend or girlfriend. 62% of young teens ages 11 through 14 report knowing friends who have been verbally abused by a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And studies regarding cyberbullying report that 26% of youth in a relationship said they have experienced some form of cyber dating abuse in their prior years. It is further reported that nearly 40% of teenagers were contacted electronically by their partners anywhere from 10 to more than 30 times per hour in an evening. California has focused on teen dating violence issues throughout effective measures and actions, including teen-focusing dating abuse and healthy relationships websites. And social media initiative, the public awareness campaign, such as loveisrespect.org. Both houses of the U.S. Congress have declared February National Teen Dating Awareness and Prevention Month, and California joins in this observance by encouraging statewide youth, families, schools, law enforcement, communities, government agencies, elected officials, civic organizations, and other interested groups to show support for organizations and individuals that provide critical advocacy to victims and promote public awareness of teen dating violence. Now, therefore, be proclaimed that the mayor and the city council members of the city of Los Banos do hereby proclaim February as Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month in the city of Los Banos. And the only way this can be prevented is through constant monitoring of the internet. In our age, and a lot of us in here, the internet wasn't around to begin with, and there was still bullying going on. Now it's absolutely rampant of what can be done through electronic means. So only through proper contact, only through sites that are good for teens should people be doing this, but that's not always what's happened. So monitoring is the best way to go. So with that, I'd like to present you with this proclamation. And thank you so much for coming here this evening. Thank you. Okay, let's go on to public forum. Members of the public may address the city council members on any item that is of interest or that item that of public interest that is within the jurisdiction of the city council, which includes agenda and non-agenda items. No action will be taken on non-agenda items, and speakers are limited to a 5-minute presentation. Detailed guidelines are posted on the council chamber informational table. When you approach the podium, please state your city, the name of the city, and your name, please. And I would remind you, if you have a cell phone, please turn them off or place them on vibrate. Do we have anyone who wants to speak at the public forum?
Los Banos, Richard De La Paz. Mayor, City Council, my name is Richard De La Paz. I just wanted to take an opportunity, come let you guys know I'm running for supervisor to Merced County, District 5. I just want to let you know I've met with most of you, and I've worked with most of you at our DLP real estate office here in town. But if anybody has any questions, anybody want to talk after this, I'll be here for the Caltrans, through the Caltrans. And if anybody wants to meet or have any questions of me too, please take the opportunity. And I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Ashley Williams, with resident of Los Banos and Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity. I'm just coming here tonight to invite you all to our home dedication that's happening this coming Saturday. I hope you also got the email I sent out, but it is going to be happening at 10 a.m. And it's celebrating homeownership for another family here in Los Banos. So we're really excited. Habitat for Humanity builds homes, communities, and hope. And we just get to kind of see it in person when we do the home dedication, which is handing over the key and kind of celebrating the hard work of the family that has put into this home. So it's one of the 2 houses on M Street. It's the one closest to the alley. And it's going to be a great time. So all of you are invited, and the community at large is invited, and we just want to make it a big celebration to celebrate the accomplishment. So anyway, I have some flyers. I'll leave them on the back, but thank you all and hope you guys can make it.
Thank you for all your hard work, Ashley. You've provided many homes in the city of Los Banos. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak at the public forum?
Kathy Ballard, City of Los Banos. I just have a quick question. I know you're having a presentation with Caltrans. There is no public forum to ask questions. So if sometime during the presentation, they can give a number or who to contact if I have questions after their presentation.
I will allow people from the public to ask questions, okay? Okay. It's not a public forum, but I'm going to, yeah, okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak at the public forum? Not seeing or hearing anyone, I will now close the public forum and go on to item 7, consideration of approval of consent agenda. And tonight we have
Items on the consent agenda are as follows. Warrant numbers 208976 to 209269 in the amount of $518,495.57. Minutes for the February 7, 2018 City Council meeting. City Council Resolution number 5938, accepting public improvements for Harvest Grove, tract number 2013-01, generally located at the northeast corner of Wilmot Avenue and North Street, APN 082-050-066, and the items are to be approved as submitted.
Okay, items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and were voted on in one motion unless removed from the consent agenda by a city council member. Is there anyone who would like to remove an item? And if not, is there anyone who would like to make a motion to approve it? Silvera.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Okay, do I have a second? Santos?
I second that.
Okay, it's been motioned by Silvera, second by Santos, to approve the consent agenda as stated. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Okay, let's go on to item 8. Presentation regarding the proposed work at the intersection of State Route 152 and 11th Street by Larry Hernandez, Caltrans Chief, District 10, Traffic Safety Branch.
Hello, everybody. Good
Wait a
evening.
minute, let me
ladies
get
and
you
gentlemen.
going here. Okay.
My name is Rodel DeClaro from the Traffic Safety Branch of Caltrans District 10, and I'm here on behalf of my supervisor, Larry Hernandez, to provide you an update on the project to signalize the intersection of State Route 152 and 11th Street. The conceptual report for this project, which is EA 10-1J300, was approved on February 2nd, 2018, and will be amended into the 2018 shop cycle. The target delivery year to ready to list, or RTL as we call it, the project is fiscal year 21-22, but we will do our best to deliver the project sooner, depending on any right-of-way or environmental constraints or needs. Construction will likely start summer 2023 and may take one construction season. Which brings me to my next topic, the interim improvement until construction of the signals. Caltrans is replacing the existing pedestrian crossing signs by installing back-to-back LED-enhanced school crossing signs that are solar-powered, pedestrian-activated that light up by push button, which will alert motorists of pedestrian activity approaching the intersection. We have taken steps towards installing these signs by pouring the foundation for the poles on which these signs will be mounted on. This was constructed by our field maintenance crews last Thursday, February 13th. Attached for your reference are the pictures of our crews breaking ground, the foundation installed, and the type of signs we've ordered. So if I may pass this down to the council now.
Please. Oh, hand it to our clerk, and then she will do that.
The purchase request for the sign package was approved last Friday, February 16th, and we've already contacted the vendor to purchase the signs. We were advised by the vendor that it will take about 6 to 8 weeks to manufacture and fabricate the signs, since these are one-of-a-kind special order signs. Assuming we get the package in 8 weeks, installation should be completed by our crews by the end of April or early part of May 2018. Please know that this is a priority for us, and we will ensure that these signs are installed without further delay. Thank you.
Okay. Let me see if we have any questions from council first at this time before I allow the public to speak. Is there anyone at the council that has any questions? Okay, we'll hold off, and if you have any later, then you'll be able to ask some. Okay, why don't I'll allow individuals to speak once if they wish, come to the microphone.
Okay,
and
Mayor,
then,
if I may, I also brought a colleague of mine, Thomas Lawrence. He's
Yeah.
with our PIO office,
Oh,
Public
great.
Information Office. So
Okay.
he'll be here to also address any questions.
Okay, did he want to speak first
Sure.
about anything?
Go ahead.
Hi there. Like he said, I'm Thomas Lawrence with the Public Information Office. I oversee Merced and Mariposa counties. I'm going to leave some cards of mine, business cards, back there tonight. Any of you or anybody in the public has any questions about projects, things going on in Merced County, feel free to contact me. I also brought some news releases with me about a Senate Bill 1 project that just completed on Highway 152. So thank you for having us.
Okay, let me ask you, in your opinion, the school district has placed crossing guards at the corner or at the intersection of 152 and 11th Street this time because according to the study that was done by Caltrans, they deemed that a stoplight was necessary for that intersection. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor. Okay. Yes, that is the ultimate improvement, which will be traffic signals at that intersection.
Okay, so the interim period until 2023, Does Caltrans feel that, that this is going to eliminate the need for crossing guards, and these interim measures are going to make that intersection safe enough for students to cross?
Yes, sir. That's the anticipated improvement, which is collision reduction and anything related to pedestrian-related collisions.
So the crossing guards, in Caltrans' opinion, are not needed then?
I can't answer that on our department's behalf. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Because I'm just trying to get, because this is costing money, and you know, I need to know, we need to save every dollar that we can, and so does the school district. And so if we're doing this just as, you know, a soothing effect for the public, and then still have to wait till 2023. Why so long for the stoplight?
Well, unfortunately, that is part of the process. It's part of the shop cycle. The shop cycle, which this project is going to be funded under, is a 4-year process. And if we fund it under the 2018, that takes us to the end of the fiscal year 2021-22, which is June 30th, 2022. That's our drop dead date to deliver this project, to RTL it and construct it May 2023, or construction year, summer 2023. Like I said, that all depends on right-of-way needs, if we're going to need any acquisitions or easements. But best case scenario, we should be able to deliver sooner. I mean, like I said, this is a priority of ours, and we will try to deliver it as soon as possible.
Yeah, because
it's just sometimes out of our control. You know, there's 2 gas stations there. There could be environmental concerns underneath whatever is going on down below.
Yeah, I'm somewhat at a loss, and I can't explain it to the school district in any way to make sense of how a study can be done. And first it started out as a blinking light, then it went to the Hawk system, and then Caltrans came back with the study and says, oh no, that intersection is so dangerous that we need a stoplight there. And if it's that dangerous, I can't understand how 4 years is tolerable in anyone's timeline.
Right. I understand where you're coming from, Mayor, but that is the process. It is a 4-year stop cycle. We have a project manager in place for the project. We're developing the team we're assembling the team to put the project together. And then once we get the PID approved, then we have to amend it into the SHOP program. And then from there, we can get our design team working on it, and then the environmental clearances and right-of-way. So unfortunately, that is just the 4-year process for SHOP projects.
Okay, let's see who else has questions. All right, if I would, I will open this up to the public at this time. And yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Wait a minute, who was first? Let's try this one. Try it now. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that the Hawk system's gone, and at the current process, it's just going to be 2 signs out there on the highway of what you've just given to us to show us the example of. And then at some later date, 2021, 22, 23, somewhere in there, there's going to be a light erected, a signal light.
Yes.
The question I have is that there's a signal light, you know, probably less than 100 feet from where you're proposing this on 11th Street and Pacheco Boulevard on the corner of H and Pacheco. What's going to happen there? Are you guys going to evaluate that stoplight as well? Because I can see, you know, some accidents happening and some stack-ups happening if there's no if the lights aren't synchronized so that they both turn orange and green and red at the same time.
Yeah, prior to this signal recommendation, we had our traffic operations branch evaluate the corridor. And so that signal at that intersection that you're referring to was part of the investigation prior to our recommendation to install a new signal at 11th Street. So all of that has been taken care of and has been considered. And there shouldn't be any issues as far as backups, because we will have ITS elements out there where those signals will be coordinated accordingly. to minimize delays and any other future collisions.
Okay, so there won't be any traffic problems or issues where the current light that exists at H and Pacheco will interfere with what you're going to do at 11th Street?
There shouldn't be. I
Okay.
mean, like I said, we're going to try and synchronize it so that those two lights are coordinated. That way it's free flow through that segment on 152.
Because the goal here is to protect the youth and any pedestrian that crosses that area. Certainly, you know, with the driving behaviors of people today, you don't want to cause additional issues and problems. So, you know, I was just concerned whether Caltrans was considering, you know, removing that light on H and Pacheco, which I think, you know, is necessary because then traffic on H Street will never be able to get through, or, you know, exactly how that was going to happen. So I hope that the coordination of those two lights is going to be at the point where it's not going to be any more stacking up of cars, any more delaying of traffic on Pacheco, because we already have issues there as we stand currently. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's open a public forum. I'll allow 3 minutes per person, up to 3 minutes if someone would like to speak. Is there anyone who'd like to ask a question? Yes. Okay. Hang on.
Kathy again from Los Banos. There's a total of 11 lights right now on Pacheco for a 4-mile stretch. If you keep H Street there, I didn't know that you were putting a light there. I was part of having the crosswalk, well, part, I didn't want it, but it's there. Can they just take the crosswalk away and have the kids walk to H Street? It's not like it's miles away. The light's already there. And just make it so the kids can't cross there. It's a T intersection, which is what Caltrans told me you never put a light at. The Hawk system would only be activated when a child was there. I'm assuming this light will be activated, I don't know how, which basically is a Hawk system. I don't understand the difference. It just seems really hard with your semi-trucks that come down Pacheco. They take a while to get going after a stop, which is the main cause, I think, of your traffic on Pacheco, because these semi-trucks get caught, and then they get caught at the next one, the next one, and the next one. And that causes everybody to pile up. And I just think another light is redundant. I know you guys have probably done the research and just looked at that section at that time, but it affects the whole length of Pacheco, not just that one little crosswalk. And putting another light on top of H, on top of Mercy, they don't get through. And then the people get antsy and they go stop in the intersection at H because they want to make sure they get through. And then these people coming in from H can't get in because the traffic's blocking where they're supposed to go. And it's just a madhouse. And that's just my opinion. I'm sure you guys have all done the research, but you don't live here and see it. But that's all I needed to ask and say.
Thank you. All right. Would you like to answer that?
I took it more as a comment.
Uh-huh.
That wasn't really a question, but if she would like to express her concern, Thomas is a point of contact where we can formalize her concern and then maybe have our traffic operations branch look into the corridor as a whole as opposed to just this segment. But as far as my role here today is to present what we are improving at 11th Street.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions someone would like to ask? Okay.
Hi, I'm Mark Benton. I'm with the Los Banos School District. I am a board trustee. Our bottom line is the safety of our students. I happen to have an office and I see these students crossing. It's very dangerous. I thank you for helping us with the cross guards. We appreciate that. But they're taking their lives in their hands as well. They have the big stop sign and the blinking lights. And you're right, people are going up and down. I'm just wondering, isn't there some way we can hurry this along or do something? Because I'm afraid someone is going to get killed. And it's a big concern, as you well know. You've done the studies. And what can we do?
As far as the traffic signals?
Well, the
Or,
safety of our children is paramount.
right, but you're asking
And
for which improvement
So how
can we expedite?
hurry these along?
So
Yes.
we understand the urgency for this concern, and right now it's at the vendor's hands. We've already placed the order. These are, like I said, one-of-a-kind signs. They don't make these. It used to be rapid flashing beacons. But now, there's a patent issue with that. Now we have to go to this alternative, which is LED, where the sign, the perimeter of the sign has LED lights on it. So this is a one-of-a-kind, or very, it's new to the state.
Will that
And
attract
so-
enough attention?
Yes, it will. It's gonna be back to back, so as you approach the intersection, you're gonna see, I'm sorry, here. You're gonna see the signs on both sides, and it'll look something like this. This is our proposed, let's see. So it'll look like this.
Okay.
So as you're approaching, you're gonna see the sign on the left side and on the right side.
And these are all the blinkers.
And these are all the blinkers. And when the pedestrian activates the sign or the push button, those will flash. To notify the motorist, you have pedestrians crossing.
Okay. That is in conjunction with the cross guards?
This
being there?
hopefully will eliminate the need of the cross guards, because then it'll just be pedestrian activated as needed, as opposed to a certain time frame of the day. It'll just be whoever needs to use a crosswalk. It'll draw the attention and, kids included and any other citizens.
Is there a way to expedite the light?
The light, like I said, is part of the shop cycle. We can do our best, but it all depends on right-of-way needs and environmental needs. Like if they've determined that there's hazardous waste in the area, then that could delay the project, the traffic signal project. But the LED signs, we're working on as fast as we can.
So by April.
What did I say?
That's
End of April, early part of May. Okay, because it takes about 8 weeks to manufacture.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to ask a question? Yes.
Good evening. Mark Marshall, Superintendent, Los Banos Unified School District. And I just have a follow-up question. As far as the crossing guards go, how the interfaces with the interim measures that's being proposed, how do you see that working? How do you see it working as far as the interim measures that you put in place in April? Because we have 2 crossing guards in place now. So how do you see that transition, looking?
Do you want them to remain?
Yeah.
Basically.
Right.
Do you
That's
want
what
the
I'm-
crossing guards? So I think what Mr. Marshall wants to know is one going to conflict with the other? And for liability, so if we're doing something negative to the flashing lights that you are installing, I think we need some guidance on both sides, the police chief, the school district, and the city council as to what we should do when that because if the blinking light goes in, that's the interim measure.
Right.
So.
Right. At this point, I don't know if I can answer that without, asking my leadership, because this is all new. And let me find out, and I'll get back to you guys if that's okay. I can't answer that. I don't know what the transition would be from crossing guards to a newly installed system like this. I wouldn't know. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, because he has to deal with risk management, and we want to know if the crossing guards are then counterproductive to the flashing light, and who are they going to be looking at? The flashing light and the crossing guards get struck, or are they going to be looking at the crossing guard?
Right.
So I think they want to know to make sure that they're doing the right thing with the intersection. Mr. Pereira?
Good evening, Anthony Pereira. I'm also a member of the Los Banos Unified School District Board of Trustees. My concern was a comment that Mrs. Ballard made a couple of minutes ago about getting rid of that intersection altogether and forcing the kids to walk down to H Street. Don't even consider it. It'd never happen. The kids take the shortest route anywhere, they will never walk 100 yards down the street just to cross the street. So just knowledge of what kids do, they'll never do that. And I understand the issue with Pacheco Boulevard and another stoplight being another roadblock in that whole street, because Pacheco Boulevard is probably one of the slowest moving lanes in Las Banas. It's not a quick route through town, but the safety of our kids is paramount.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I don't see anyone else, so I'll close the question portion of this. And if the questions that have been asked this evening, if you could please address those to our city manager, and then he could pass those on to the police chief and also to Dr. Marshall from the school district as to the conflict with the lights, and then the expediting the stoplight itself, and if you feel that the crossing guards are going to be in conflict or the crossing guards should remain, and what's Caltrans' opinion, because that's your highway, and we need advice from you guys.
Okay. We'll
okay.
Do all right.
All right. I will bring it back to council level. Council, are there any questions that you'd like to ask? Oh, let's go on to Mr. Silvera. There we go.
Yeah. What's it cost? How much is this stoplight going to cost?
The stoplight is projected at 1.1 million.
And what's the interim measure going to cost?
I believe 12,000.
12,000.
I believe 12,000.
It just, I guess, I share the school district's frustration in that incurring the cost of having to put crossing guards out there for the safety of their children, and you know, you're talking, you said 1.2 million for a stoplight?
So let me double check what we programmed that at. Yes, actually it's 1.3 million.
1.3 million. And I get it that you guys have a process, and that seems to me like a whole bunch of bureaucratic red tape, and it has to go, and this person has to check a box, and the next person has to check a box. And I guess that's your guys' process. But your annual budget for Caltrans is how much?
Annual budget for
Caltrans in general. I'm pretty sure it's in the billions with a B. Okay. And you can't, for something that you guys have deemed as a safety issue, you don't have emergency money set aside or the ability to pull emergency money to streamline a project that you guys are on the record as saying is necessary for the safety of the pedestrians crossing there. If I'm looking at it from a pure business perspective point of view, I wouldn't want to incur that liability. If something, God forbid, happens at that intersection, you guys have already, and I know you guys are just the messengers, and obviously I would hope that you'll repeat this to your higher-ups, but to incur that kind of liability on something that you've said is a safety issue, and there's a stoplight is warranted there because of not necessarily the traffic issue, but the pedestrian issue, that you guys, I mean, I get it, you're going to work your hardest to try to get it done before then, but a year to build it, you're talking, I've heard you mention 2022, 2023, 2024 is when it could possibly be done by. You're going to try to get it done sooner. That's just unacceptable. I mean, I watch a show on TV that's not on there anymore, but it's called Extreme Makeover Home Edition, where they could build a complete house in a week. And I get it. They brought a lot of people on board, and they streamlined processes to get it done. So you mean to tell me Caltrans, with all the smart people that they have working for them and the billions of dollars that they have in their budget, can't get a project done in less than 5 years that you guys have deemed as being a safety issue? That's what's wrong with government right there. Is truly, and I'm trying not to take this out on you guys. I get you guys are just the messengers, but it's baloney. This is an issue that's been going on for a long time, and then God forbid something happens to somebody crossing that street, and it might not even be a student from the school. There's other people that cross that intersection all the time, and it's because it's going to be on Caltrans's hands because they've deemed it an issue. That's just my 2 cents. I think that there's a way. If there's a will, there's a way. You guys could get this done in streamlines. I get it. If there's environmental issues, you have it. But heck, we're not even going to know if there's environmental issues for another 2 or 3 years. That's the problem. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Mrs. Santos?
Thank you. I just had a brief question about the shop projects and how long on average, I guess, is it possible, on average, is it possible that you get them done a lot sooner than the 5-year time span? Or is it just that's...
It is possible. It is possible, but it just all depends on the project itself. I mean, this project, face value, it looks simple. But I really don't know what environmental constraints there are and if we're going to need any construction easement with the property owners to build the signals. And that all takes time. Unfortunately, there's like fixed time frames for each of those segments within the project.
And would any of us reaching out to, would this help with us all maybe just being more, being more adamant about this project? Would it help speed that up, or is it just still just the time frames and whatnot?
Our leadership understands the frustration, and we're doing our best to prioritize this job and deliver it as fast as possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I would think with the resources that the city has, with a very knowledgeable public works manager that we have, and with the fire department, environmental, police chief with traffic, our city manager who is a seasoned city manager, and the school district, that if you run into some type of roadblock, I would hope that that information would be shared with these individuals to have us try and intervene to see what we can do. Because as you can see, people are frustrated. We're frustrated with the lack of leadership on 152. We're frustrated with the fleeting funds that was supposed to have a bypass since 1962. We're frustrated with a lot of things and the self-imposed dangerous intersections that we are dealing with now because of inattentiveness to 152. And you're here tonight, Larry Hernandez is not. I understand that. Please take these comments back to him and tell him how frustrated the school district and the city council would be that, like he said, God forbid anything happens, we're the ones that have to deal with these tragedies, not Sacramento. So I understand you're sitting here, that you're standing here this evening, and it's probably very frustrating for you to be here knowing that you might have walked into some sort of hornet's nest tonight. Well, we wanted to minimize that, and we didn't want to do that because you look like two nice gentlemen that are just here tonight, and you're the ones that had to face us. So I would hope you would take those comments back, that if you run into any sort of difficulty, that you contact our people ASAP on both sides of school district. And then I would like an answer to the question, if it's, do we have to continue to spend the money on the crossing guards? And are they going to conflict with the interim measures that you're going to put in? Because we just don't want to do anything to cause any kind of consternation for anyone, especially Caltrans. And if that interim measure, if that's what your engineers feel is going to take care of this problem for right now, then we don't need the crossing guards to conflict. But and our school board needs an answer to that as ASAP.
Okay.
All right. Yes, sir. Hang on 1 minute. Yeah.
Now you said the drop dead date is 23, right?
To RTL, the job is June 30, 2022.
22. RTL
22.
means what?
Ready to list. So it's basically ready. The project will be ready to advertise for contractors to bid on. And so that's a couple months process. And then we hit into winter, which there's no construction allowed until, dry season due to a sweepy. So that brings us into May 2023. This is all assuming that we have all the environmental constraints in place, where 2 years for right of way and 1 year for environmental.
In your experience, I don't know how long you've been involved with these projects. In your experience, do they normally take this long?
I haven't had enough project delivery exposure to know. I'm not a project manager.
I'm curious to know how long this project is taking compared to other projects. And that's a question I would ask you to take back to your supervisor and answer for us.
Okay.
So we can get an idea of where we sit on this priority list and just how important Caltrans perceives us here. We are, where 152 and 165 come together is the most active intersection in the whole county of Merced. And 152 is, the Yosemite to the Sea Highway is what it was originally called. And it is the primary east-west artery. And I really would like to know where Caltrans sits on this. And if you could ask your supervisor and get us an answer back, I sure would appreciate it of how this sits in the normal time frame compared to how long other projects in the same similar circumstances would take to bring in.
Okay.
Thank you.
So in my supervisor's defense, he wanted to be here, but unfortunately this past weekend he needed to take an urgent family matter out of the country. Or a trip out of the country, so.
We understand life happens.
Yeah.
Council, any other questions? No. Yes. Go ahead.
In light of the concerns that this council has and the city, our Los Banos City School District and the public, what would be the chances of us rescheduling another meeting and inviting back Mr. Hernandez at a pretty close date here to answer these questions so that it's out of the public and we have a clear indication about all the concerns that have been expressed here tonight?
Sure, that's a viable option.
Okay. Can we schedule another meeting and have Mr. Hernandez come back to us or come to us?
Just 1 minute.
Do you mean another city council meeting or
Yes.
a private meeting? Oh, okay.
You're really at the pleasure of the council if that's the direction.
I think that would soothe at least my concerns, the mayor, all the rest of the council, as well as the school district, to have Mr. Hernandez appear before us. And it'll give you time to present the concerns that we have here as a council, and for him to be prepared to answer the questions when he comes to us.
Okay.
So
I just took a straw poll and yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So does that have to be in a form of a motion?
It does not.
Okay.
I just looked at council. Council is very much eager to do that.
We'll take that as direction and schedule another meeting for Mr. Hernandez.
Okay.
Thank you.
And again, in the interim, if you would get the school district the answers for liability, we greatly appreciate that. And then school district will advise you when Mr. Hernandez is coming, and you can then again come back to talk. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much for your presence this evening, and we appreciate you being here.
Okay, so should we just hang out here until the end of the meeting?
You know something? If you'd like to, we'd love it. I don't know if there are going to be any more questions. Maybe people might think of things. School board, if you'd like to talk to them at that time. Okay?
And then, like Thomas said earlier, we'll just leave business cards up front.
We appreciate that. Or just hand them to the city clerk.
Okay.
And then we can pass those out. And if we could get all the pictures that you have on some kind of PDF file, so the city will have those, and so will the school district, to better understand the intersection.
Yeah, okay. I can help share those as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go on to item number 9, Small Business Development Center, SBDC presentation by Curtis Clark, Director of the Valley Sierra Small Business Development Center.
Good evening, Mayor. Kirk Clark. I am a resident of Waterford, California, and thank you for having me here tonight, council members and staff. Appreciate the opportunity to kind of give you some background about what an SBDC is and city manager and staff and I and my staff have been working together for a number of years here in Los Banos. Very briefly, an SBDC is a program that is funded primarily by the United States Small Business Administration. We are a line item in the federal budget, and there are about 1,100 small business development centers across the United States, all independent, but all sharing in common the SBD or SBA funding. SBA funding requires that there's a local match, of which I, as the director of the program, have worked very hard. I've been the director for 14 years to develop a fairly robust program. And fortunately, in the last year, we have expanded our program here in Los Banos significantly. You should have in front of you, I believe, a little spreadsheet that I put together. So all of you have that with my business card on it. So in 2016, we did activity basically through our office in Merced, and we have our main office in Modesto. That's where I'm based. And we have 2 staff there, administrative staff and myself, and we have an office here in Merced County in downtown Merced at the UC Merced Venture Lab. Jennifer Butler is here tonight. She's our office manager and runs that office for us. The Valley Sierra SBDC serves entrepreneurs, small business owners in 4 counties. That's our responsible territory. So we serve Merced, Mariposa, Tuolumne, and Stanislaus counties. And just to give you some context, last year we served a little under 500 unique clients throughout those 4 counties. In 2016, we served 9 clients in Los Banos, and that was woefully below my own goal, my own desire. But it was fairly difficult to serve clients from Merced, so we made it a priority to rectify that. And when Mr. Terrazas became city manager, I reached out to him shortly after that and reached out to a staff, and we had a conversation about how can we better serve your community. And we are very, very fortunate. A member of your EDC, the city's Economic Development Commission or Council, Commission, Ron DeLoe, serves on that commission, and she stepped up and said, this sounds like something I would like to do, and she became one of our local business consultants here in Los Banos. And we also have Tisha Blackwood Freitas has come on board as a member of our team. And so as you see in 2017, the year that just closed, we served 32 unique clients in Los Banos and provided 202 hours of professional business consulting at no cost to citizens in the Los Banos area. We had some significant results. 5 new businesses started. We still want to work on some of these other metrics. We had some job creation. Last year, we didn't have as many capital fundings as we would like to see, but this year we're off to a very robust start. The first 6, roughly 7 weeks of 2018, we've already served 18 clients, 51 hours. I would project by the end of the year that we will have provided somewhere around 300 hours of consulting. So that's what the SBDC does. We have currently throughout the 4 counties, 33 professionals under contract to provide services to entrepreneurs who want to start a business or the existing small business community. And we are looking forward to continuing to collaborate with the city, with business serving organizations like the Chamber, downtown business groups, and continue to grow our SBDC program here in Los Banos. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Council, any questions at this time? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Clark, so when on the owner investment, so is that, is it through your guys is working with them, the owners invested in
the owner's own capital, and that could be savings, it could be money that they get from, family members, but it's not a formal loan, not something that they would necessarily be paying back. Yes.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, Council? May I ask, have you reached out to our Chamber of Commerce also?
We had numerous conversations with the chamber, and I know the chamber staff has gone through some changes, and we are very much interested in continuing to collaborate with the chamber, find ways to bring value to the chamber. We have professional consultants, not only within our 4 counties, that we can bring into the community to do workshops and trainings. We have HR professionals, we have QuickBooks professionals, we have different people with different skill sets. But from time to time, we have the opportunity to bring in really high-level consultants and do very specialized training. I have a restaurant consultant that lives over in Aptos that I work with pretty regularly throughout, maybe not every year, but we typically bring him into our 4-county region 2 or 3 times in a year. We are currently under contract to bring him into Mariposa, to Tuolumne County, and to Calaveras County under a USDA grant. So that's kind of a special funding. But it's possible that maybe in the fall, we're looking at some new funding options where we could, he's not inexpensive, but he's not, dramatically expensive, but we could get him in to do a full day workshop with the restaurant community here. So just an example of some of the things we could bring in.
If the city were to partner with you, like facilities, and is there a chance of, in the near future, of getting like an all-day workshop where people who want to come and talk about QuickBooks, people who want to talk about online marketing, maybe have a day's worth of activities from this hour to this hour, this is what's going to happen?
Yep, absolutely. We've done that in other communities. In fact, we had dinner earlier tonight and talked about that very thing, doing some type of a full day or half day or whatever it might evolve into, a kind of a business expo with breakout sessions, maybe a keynote speaker. Absolutely, all of those things are possibilities, and we'd be happy to work with staff to make that happen.
Okay. Would you please reach out to our economic development director and see what it would take to set that up, and then we could market it for months in advance, because I know there are people that need help with QuickBooks. I know there are people that need help with online marketing, and if the city can be a partner in helping businesses succeed, I think that's why we're here too.
Absolutely.
Along with economic development.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And a lot of the success, even though it's relatively small and early in terms of what we will do together, staff has been extremely helpful in accommodating and helping us build our presence here. So thank you for what you've done so far.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions, Council? All right, thank you. All right. Let's go on to public hearing. If you challenge the proposed action described herein in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing described herein or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to the public hearing. Item 10A, public hearing. To receive public comment and consideration of repealing and amending in its entirety, Chapter 1 of Title 11 of the Los Banos Municipal Code relating to business licenses. And 10A1, ordinance number 1163, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Los Banos repealing and amending in its entirety Chapter 1 of Title 11 of the Los Banos Municipal Code regarding business licenses. And I'm going to go to our Community and Economic Development Director, Mrs. Elms, and let's see if I can find that. Here it is. There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. So tonight we're asking for a continuance of the public hearing. We did receive a letter from an interested person, Geneva Brett of our community, and in order to provide a proper response, we'd like time to research those issues brought up in her letter, and we'd like to continue the public hearing to March 21st. I would ask that the City Council would open the public hearing and then continue to March 21st to a date certain.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I would open the public hearing of anyone who wants to speak on ordinance number 1163. Is there anyone who wishes to address that ordinance at a public hearing? Not seeing any of the two people that are left. I will close the public hearing, bring it back to the city council, and ask for a motion on a continuance to March 21st. Mr. Silvera.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to continue this item to March 21st.
Okay. Mr. Faria.
I'll second that motion.
It's been motioned by Silvera, second by Faria, for the continuance of ordinance number 1163 to the March 21st, 2018 meeting. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Okay, let's go on to B, public hearing. To receive public comment and consideration of the approval of the general plan text amendment 217-02 and the negative declaration SCH number 217-2060 to amend the floor area ratio text to 20% from the current 35% maximum in general industrial zoning districts for the Paradise Tomato Kitchen Warehouse expansion located at 149 G Street, APNs 081-110-012 and 081-110-040. B1, City Council Resolution number 5939, approving negative. Question? Okay. City Council Resolution number 5939, approving negative declaration, SCH number 2017-121-060 for Paradise Tomato Kitchen Incorporated warehouse expansion located at 149 G Street, more specifically identified as assessor parcels 081-110-012 and 081-110-040. Item B2, City Council Resolution number 5940, approving the general plan text amendment number 2017-02 to amend the floor area ratio from a maximum of 35% build out to 70% maximum build out for the general industrial zoning district. And we are going to receive a staff report from Director Elm. Is that correct? All right. There we go.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor and City Council. I would like to make a clarification on the agenda under 10B that we're requesting to amend the floor area ratio text to 70%. It is a typo incorrectly as stated on the agenda as 20%. It needs to be 70% from the current 35% maximum build out.
Okay, so noted. And in your recommendation, if we're going to approve this, council, please make that in the motion or put that in a motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I have a PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see if I can do this. Is it there? No? Let's try that one. Did it switch? Okay.
All right.
All right. Pretty good for not doing it in 2 weeks, hopefully.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the proposal before you tonight consists of a negative declaration for Paradise Tomato Kitchen Warehouse Expansion Project and a general plan text amendment as I previously stated. This would be to increase the floor area ratio from a 35% maximum build out to 70% maximum build out. And this would accommodate an existing warehouse expansion for Paradise Tomato Kitchen. Their current warehouse consists of 138,400 square feet. It's contained within your staff report. And they're proposing an expansion to consist of 175,034 square feet. This would create a cumulative building total of 313,434 square feet. So pretty substantial expansion for the city of Las Banos Paradise Tomato Kitchen. So Planning Commission held a public hearing on January 24th, 2018. And after hearing staff's recommendation, they recommended approval of the negative declaration and the general plan amendment to the City Council. And then also approved site plan review number 2015-05 for the 175,034 square foot warehouse expansion for Paradise Tomato Kitchen. And that is contingent upon the City Council's approval of the expansion of the floor area ratio, as well as the negative declaration tonight. So this is the location of the property. Its site address is 149 G Street, and this was the previously historically known as Lifetime Doors building, and Paradise Kitchen has occupied this building the last several years. To the north and east of the project site, it is industrial, general industrial. There is a mini storage facility and future industrial projects to the north, buildable area for industrial projects. And then to the west is Kagome, which is an industrial food processor, as well as a school, Golden Valley high school is there, and as well as commercial La Morenita. So to the west, southwest is a mix of different uses, but this area is primarily industrial. So the an initial study was prepared to identify and assess any potential environmental impacts due to this project. It was determined that the project would not result in any significant environmental effects and no mitigation would be necessary. A notice of intent was posted with Merced County Clerk's Office as well as the Office of Planning and Research with the State of California on December 22nd, 2017, and the public review period was then closed on January 22nd, 2018. And based on that review period, we did receive 2 comment letters. The first was from Chevron Environmental Management Company. That letter was basically to simply notify the city as well as the applicant that there is residual weathered crude oil, an abandoned pipeline, and asbestos-containing material that could be encountered during subsurface construction activities. As stated within the staff report, the location of the old crude pipeline, the abandoned crude pipeline, is adjacent to the project site. However, it's not anticipated that any subsurface construction activity from the project site would disturb any of this historical pipeline. The pipeline operation ceased in the 1970s, and that pipeline was taken out of commission. So as a customary protocol for Chevron, they do provide notice to any adjacent properties doing any projects in the area. So the applicant has been notified, and as well as the city, and though no mitigation is required due to this notice. Then the second notice, comment letter that we received was from the Department of Transportation, Caltrans District 10. They requested that the city provide trip generations for 3 intersections, and also they wanted to know the amount and type of commercial trucks to be utilized by this project. In response to Caltrans's comment letter, which is attached in the staff report, the response to the amount of trucks and the type of commercial trucks, the applicant will be using California legal trucks that have been and will continue to be the largest trucks used for the project. Essentially, what the Caltrans's letter stated that there's STAA trucks. These are larger trucks that are allowed to operate on the interstate in certain primary routes. It's a federal act that allows these trucks to operate, and this project, however, will not be using any of those types of trucks. They will only be using California legal trucks. Then the second response to the second item on the trip generation for 3 intersections, that was for State Route 165 in Wilmot, State Route 165 in Overland, and then also State Route 152 and Badger Flat Road. This was in addition to the already intersections that were provided in the traffic study that was a part of the environmental document. In response to that, the traffic engineer, Ken Anderson, did analyze the truck turning movements at those 3 intersections and determined that there was no significant impact and no additional mitigation was required. So that response, which is included in the staff report, was also provided to District 10 planning staff. So the floor area ratio and that analysis, what that is, it's a relationship between the total amount of usable floor area to the total area of the lot. So it's the buildable area. It's used to measure the building bulk, and it's used to control visual prominence and traffic generation. So in the residential side of the general plan, we use densities to control concentration of units. And on the commercial side, the general plan uses floor area ratio to control really bulk of buildings and then lot coverage. The floor area ratio equals floor area over lot area. So for example, if a site with 10,000 square feet of buildable land area then has a floor area ratio of 1.0, so 1, they would be allowed 10,000 square feet of building floor area ratio, okay, if that makes sense. The discrepancy, though there is a discrepancy that staff has found between the 1999 general plan and the 2030 general plan. Basically in 1999, that general plan allowed a maximum build out of 1.5% for light industrial and general industrial. And that should have been carried forward to the 2030 general plan, but inadvertently it was omitted. What I believe happened is that in 1999, that general plan had a land use category for office industrial. That land use category was not carried over into the 2030 general plan, but that floor area ratio was inadvertently left in and not expanded to the light industrial, general industrial. That was carried over in 2030. So I think it was just a mistake. I don't think it was intentional that the city meant to limit the floor area ratio, the building, maximum building for development in the industrial zoning districts. So looking at general plan conformance, the general plan, what it states for general industrial, is that it's intended to accommodate manufacturing, research and development, wholesale and warehouse distribution, agriculture, sales, and services. And this particular proposal does meet our general plan goals, objectives, and our policies. Those are stated within the staff report under economic development and land use policies. So we would be in conformance with our general plan if you were to approve a higher maximum floor area ratio tonight. No public comment. A public hearing notice was published in the Las Banos Enterprise on February 9th and mailed to the 300-foot radius. And as I stated, 2 comment letters were received during the CEQA review period, and no other comment letters were received. So with that, staff is recommending that the City Council adopt resolution number 5939 to approve negative declaration for Paradise Tomato Kitchen, and then adopt resolution number 5940 to amend the general plan floor area ratio in the general industrial zoning district from 35% maximum build out to 70% maximum build out. And that concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any of your questions.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Director Elms? Do I have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot the public hearing. Forgot that. All right. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing. If there anyone who would like to speak on City Council Resolution 5939 or 5940. Not seeing or hearing anyone, I will now close the public forum, public hearing, and bring it back to council level. Do I have any motions? Mr. Let's see, Mr. Silvera. Is it on? There we go.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to adopt City Council Resolution number 5939 as read by title.
Okay. Do I have a second? Mr. Faria.
I'll second that.
Okay, motioned by Silvera, second by Faria to approve City Council Resolution number 5939. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Okay. Let's hold it. You have to press it again. All right, try it now.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve City Council Resolution number 5940 as read by title and pointing out that it's 35% build out to 70% maximum build out.
All right, Mr. Faria.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Faria, excuse me, motion by Silvera, second by Faria for the approval of City Council Resolution number 5940. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Okay, let's go on to item number 11. Consideration of City Council member requests regarding front yard, driveway, hardscape coverage area, and excessive vehicles parked on residential properties. And let's go to Mrs. Lewis. Oops, all right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
There you go.
At our last city council meeting, I made a request to bring this before the city council based on my visiting certain areas in my district, which is District 4, as well as other parts of Los Banos, and seeing that since we've had the contract for special code enforcement to come in and assist our city to mitigate some of these issues that we have in our city in the special district, I found that the problem continued to exist and began to wonder why things weren't being corrected. I went into our Los Banos Municipal Code under Title IV Public Works, Public Safety, and in particular to Chapter 5 regarding regulation of parking of vehicles on unpaved surfaces and in residential backyards. And this is a two-part ordinance. And it indicates that no person shall park any vehicle. I'm going to paraphrase this because it's quite lengthy, and it goes into the different type of vehicles that is named in this ordinance, shall park on any lawn or landscape or unpaved surface, any commercial industrial zone property, or lying within any front yard or side yard, with such front or street side yard to include both the required setback areas and any areas between the street and the structures that are in excess of the required residential setback. And what I take from this is that there are certain setbacks that are required for parking, but it doesn't have any limitations on how much a person can use as far as their front yard, their driveway for the garage, constructing pavement to go onto the side of a home, going into a backyard. So right now, as our code stands, it gives a person unlimited access to park their car practically, or multiple cars, wherever they want to on private property. And under Section 4-5.1.02, parking limited in backyards, no person shall park more than 3 vehicles, including, multiple types of vehicles, which I won't go into, it's trucks and trailers and recreational vehicles, within any backyard, within the residential zone area or zone property being used primarily as a residence. And I know that I've asked the question several times, why are people parking vehicles in their backyard? And it's not just in the targeted area that the code enforcement contractual agency is helping us with. I see this happening throughout the city. And I've checked other city ordinances, and most of them don't allow any vehicle parking in the backyard. And in regards to front yard parking, usually it's on a percentage basis depending on the width and the depth of the lot. And what I'm seeing with ours is that even setbacks, I think, our city minimum is a 5-foot setback from property to property, that people are pouring concrete up to that setback portion to be able to accommodate additional vehicles on their property. So basically, on my take on this is that we're looking at issue number one of safety, because we have people operating vehicles in the back of their residence, which have fuel in them. If for some reason that vehicle catches on fire, not only is the resident where the vehicle is parked is at jeopardy, the surrounding residents are also at jeopardy. It's also a degradation of the neighborhood when you have multiple cars parked on the front yard, parked in driveways, poured concrete to go into the backyard, and you have additional vehicles on those poured areas, as well as concrete or dirt that's in the backyard where either operating or non-operating vehicles are being parked. And because of the way these ordinances are written at this particular time, it hinders the authority of our code enforcement to do any mitigation to try to bring residents into compliance to get all of these vehicles removed off of their property. So what I'm asking the council to consider is to, number one, I'd like to see the parking limitations in the backyard of 3 vehicles. I'd like to see that ordinance be done away with, and also to set some limits and parameters as to how many vehicles can be parked in a front yard, what percentage has to be landscaped, whether it's landscaped or not, that vehicles cannot be parked on that, on what should be landscaped property. And certainly that's why we all have driveways, is to be able to put our vehicles in our driveways, and if we have garages, hopefully to put them in the garage. But to have, 6 or 7 vehicles on a property and have them put in the backyard, to me, it's not befitting anymore these days. Perhaps years ago, those kinds of things were permitted, but as cities go today, we're trying to clean up vehicles being parked, multiple vehicles on property, and to reduce the liability to the city. Because certainly, if we don't look at trying to take care of something like this, as deep pockets always go, they're going to come after the city first. So I think we have an obligation to not only protect the citizens of Los Banos from danger, but to also clean up our city and to have it be a viable place and a nice looking place where people want to reside and live in neighborhoods, and also to mitigate and help do away with any liabilities that the city may incur as a result of people parking vehicles, operative or non-operative, in their backyards and on their side yards.
Thank you.
And that's my presentation, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Well, if I may first, what I've noticed is that people are tearing out their front yards, and they're pouring an improved surface by taking out the grass, taking out the shrubs, and pouring a driveway around their house. There's one house that I've noticed that has between 10 and 15 cars parked in front of it. And because it's called an improved surface, this person has parked cars all over the place. And I've had neighbors complain to me, but it's not right. And that can happen to any residents within our community, where people can tear out their front yards and pour driveways around either side of the house and in the backyard to park vehicles. So what I look at is you talked about a safety factor, Mrs. Lewis, that someone had to exit. If that house, God forbid, caught on fire, you've got cars with gasoline parked around them. And it's not healthy for that house or the neighborhood. And it sure is unsightly to have all these cars parked all over the place and not set where we had a beautiful yard at one time. People would tear them out and then push, pour concrete and have a driveway there. So it's not what it wasn't within the original design of the house. Let's put it that way. So I would agree with you.
Well, as early as today, when I was out walking my dogs, I noticed a resident in my neighborhood that had put a very large truck on their front lawn, which they had never done before. And so it seems like it's an increasing thing that, people decide that, oh, it's a convenient place to either park or work on a vehicle or just have it off the street because there are multiple vehicles that may be at a particular resident. So other cities have dealt with this. I know in San Jose, years ago, they had to rewrite an ordinance to deal with this for that same particular problem where people were pulling out their landscaping and pouring in concrete, whether it's a resident that's stacked next to another resident or whether it was a corner residence, which can even present a bigger problem because there's more space for someone to tear out their yard or dirt and just pour concrete there and park vehicles. So we want our city to be, we're trying to grow our city and we're trying to make it a nice place for people to reside and live. And we can't sit here and be in a position where we neglect certain areas of our city and allow this to happen. We have to be concerned about our whole city. And certainly it's one of the mantras that I just echo all the time is about the aesthetics of how our city looks and how our residents are keeping up the neighborhood. So sometimes we need to exercise a little bit of help by updating our ordinance, and I see this as one where it gives our staff more power to do what they need to do to take care of these problems. Okay, that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Mrs. Santos?
Thank you. Well, my comment is I think you have some very valid points about people parking in their grass. It kills the grass. It just is unsightly to see a car parked in front of someone's living room window. And I've seen quite a bit of that. But I've also seen where there's some very tasteful concrete layouts where people have their cars parked to the side. So I'm kind of conflicted in a sense that I've seen some very tasteful ones, and then I've seen the just unsightly stuff that people just park anywhere and everywhere is a garage. So I do agree with you that I think we do need some beefing up for those unsightly things, but then also I'd hate to I hate to be as intrusive to say that, hey, you bought this house, but we're going to tell you how to do it essentially. And so I guess I'm kind of on the fence, but I also see the need where I see the need for us to stop some of the unsightly things happening in town. So that's kind of where I sit with that.
Okay. Any other comments or direction? We just need simple direction if there's any.
I think it's a motion to
Okay.
have staff spend time and effort and bring it back to you to see if you want to go forward.
Just to look at it, to have them research it then. Just didn't come back with something. Okay.
Has to be.
All right. Okay, let's go with that then. Then do we have a motion? Oh, Mr. Freya, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Okay, go. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Mr. Freya, hang on. All right, go ahead.
Thanks. I do agree there's a problem with the parking. Some houses look like parking garages. It makes you wonder whether they're charging a parking fee. My big concern, though, is that enforcement, right now, we're not even able to enforce what we have. If we enforced what we have right now, we'd be writing tickets, a lot of them. I know I call in on things as I drive around. And I like the idea of having a look at this. I agree. I don't think it can hurt to have staff take a look at it. Maybe compare some other ordinances in other cities that are like Las Banas. We do have an issue of a number of people with a lot of cars, and that's because Las Banas is now a very large percentage of commuters, where you have 4 or 5 people living in a house, family members who commute, and they all have commute in their own car. And so we are a very car-heavy town because of it. And how we deal with that is, I think, a challenge that we have to face to do it well. Ms. Santos mentioned that some houses do it quite tastefully. They set things up and it looks pretty nice. Other houses, it looks like a junkyard. And now on the backyard issue, you know, some folks like to have a little project car in the backyard. I don't think it hurts anything as long as it's not visible from the street. Some of these giant RVs in the backyard are a little obtrusive and a little unsightly. But I think it doesn't. I don't think it's going to hurt for us to take a look at it. And I would recommend. I would support that, to have us look at it, and that'd bring it back for more discussion after the staff's had a chance to compare others. But once again, enforcement is a huge issue. We're not even able to enforce what we have right now. So as staff pursues that, I think we would also need to look at, and have staff also consider, how we would enforce an increased, how we would enforce any changes to the code.
Thank you. Ms. Silvera?
Yeah, I completely agree with Mr. Free on this one. It's we're adding more stuff to code enforcement when they can barely keep up with what they have now, and so that always worries me when we're adding another layer. For me, I support the idea of, I guess, of moving forward to get staff to bring us something back, but it's a complete banning of parking vehicles in your backyard is off the table for me. At some point, you know, they're called property rights. You're a private property owner. We can reasonably regulate for reasons of health and safety and all those things. But, you know, I own my property, and if I want to work on a project car in my backyard, I don't think it's the city's right and or responsibility to tell me that I can't do that. So, I mean, this is more of a direction towards staff, is for me to support something to change an ordinance. If there's a complete outright banning of parking any vehicles in your side yard or your backyard, I couldn't support something like that, because I do know some people that do that, and they don't have, you know, crappy backyards with weeds growing everywhere and trying to start hot rod cars in dry grass. They're pretty, you know, intelligent people. So I can go down the road a little bit on giving our code enforcement some teeth to, when they run across these situations where you have these bad actors, to be able to have something in an ordinance that will allow them some teeth to be able to correct the problem. But I'm not willing to go as far as to completely, you know, ban vehicles, ban you putting a side driveway in or anything like that. So that's just kind of my thoughts on it. Thank you.
Well, let's see where staff goes. Okay. Do I have a motion, a second then? There has not. Do I have one? Let me get all, okay. Mr. Faria?
I'm sure Ms. Lewis would want to make the motion. It's her item.
Okay, let's go there.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to have staff look at our public safety code in reference to section 4-5-1-01 and 4-5-1-02 in regards to parking vehicles on unpaved surfaces, and also in regards to parking vehicles in backyards.
Okay, Mr. Faria?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Lewis as stated, second by Mr. Faria. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Okay, let's go on to item 12, advisement of public notices, and we have one report. And let's go to Realms.
So we have a conditional use permit for Merced College to allow the operation of a welding class.
Wait a minute, hang on. This is, okay, we're good.
for the operation of a welding class to be located at 60 West G Street, Suites A and B. This is a part of their certified vocational education. These are classes that they currently have been offering for many years in Merced at their main campus, and we're excited to be able to offer these classes in the satellite campus at Merced College in Los Banos. So that Planning Commission public hearing will be held on Wednesday, February 28th at 7 p.m. here in the council chambers.
Okay, any questions for Director Elms at this time? Okay, let's go on to City Manager's report.
Nothing this evening, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, let's go on to City Council member reports. Tonight we'll start with Mr. Faria.
I don't have much except happy birthday to my wife. Her birthday will be Sunday, so happy birthday, Bertha, and hope it's a great one for you. Thanks.
That all depends. Would you buy her?
I can't tell you yet.
Okay.
She doesn't know.
Well, no one's listening. I mean,
no,
really.
No one ever. That's probably true.
I'm going to be quiet. Okay. Let's go to Mrs. Santos.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. On to Mrs. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr.
Wait a minute. Wrong one. There we go.
The only comment that I have this evening is to express my thoughts and prayers for the Graham family. Dr. Billy Graham passed away early this morning at the age of 99. And in my opinion, he's been probably one of the greatest evangelists in the in the 20th and 21st century. So a man that has always been honest and stands by his word, and none that has had any bad things that anybody could say about him. And he has committed his life to do what he did to bring forth God's word. And I just wanted to express my concern, and my thoughts and my prayers definitely go out to his family. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Let's go on to Mr. Silvera.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, the only thing I had to report on this evening is due to some things that are coming up in my future here, I wanted to share with the council that is effective today that I resigned from the Fair Board. I'm going to be really busy over the next couple months, and I didn't do it lightly. I was on that board for 12 years. Spent 11 fairs there. I still did tell the folks on the Fair Board that I would still be available to help them with their auctions on Friday and Saturday. But like I said, as of today, I gave up my duties on the Fair Board. So that's the only thing I had to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Presentation on 152 and 11th. I thank the school district for coming, the people who spoke up, and council members. Very good commentary. I'm very proud of you. Thank you for making that. It's frustrating, and I'm not going to rehash anything because I don't think I should. Enough was said tonight about it, but let's see what kind of a response we get. Adam Gray called me before the meeting this evening, and tomorrow his aide is meeting with our city manager, and our city manager can impart the frustration to him or to her, and see what kind of help that we can get. I also see Senator Canella's Joanne Lamas is in the audience, and Joanne, you heard what everyone said, and so any help that you could give us to thank you for taking notes, and would you please make Mr. Terrazas, our city manager, your contact person? Thank you. Okay, Measure V. We had a meeting a few weeks ago on Measure V, and I was going to bring the agendas. I'll pass those out at the next meeting because I think when we talk about the RTIF, it'd be appropriate for me to bring that subject up at the time, and so we'll talk about that at the next meeting on March 7th. And remember, council members, at March 7th, we're going to be coming up with a plan whether we support the RTIF plan or not. That was outlined by me at the last meeting 2 weeks ago. So I would ask you that if you have any questions, please go through our city manager. Do not contact me, and they can answer questions about the RTIF, or else watch the video, Ms. Freer, if you weren't present the last time for the outline of that, and we're going to need to vote whether we accept the recommendation of MCAG at the next meeting. So two very important items: Measure V money and how we're going to complete our projects, and RTIF money, the breaking up of the $5 million that's left. So again, just talking about 152 and 11, thank you so much for your comments. I can't tell you how much I appreciate them tonight. And with that, anything else, people? We're good? Okay, I'd like to adjourn this meeting at 8:40.
Be able to